Hello and welcome back to another video, dee'stuition. Welcome to my video from my Romeo and Juliet series, 5 key quotes for, and today we'll be looking at 5 key quotes for Juliet Capulet. Let's get into it. So the first quotation comes from Act 1, Scene 3, and this is the scene where we first officially meet Juliet, and she is speaking with her mother, Lady Capulet, and the nurse about the prospect of marrying the County Paris. And Juliet says, "It is an honour I dream not of, but no more deep will I in art mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly." So the first part of this quotation, "It is an honour I dream not of," has very much oxymoronic language. Elizabethan women knew how important it was to marry. As a matter of fact, they were reared to marry, specifically girls like Juliet, who came from good, well-off families. Where she says it's an honour I dream not of, she acknowledges the fact that to marry somebody of Paris's stature is an honour, but she is also letting us know that it's not something that she dreams of, unlike most other young girls at that time. And that already sets Juliet apart from the other young women in the society, as well as any of the women in the play, because we already get a sense that she knows her own mind and perhaps doesn't always want to go with the status quo. Where she says, "No more deep will I and art mine eye than your consent dishant to make it fly," she uses that metaphorical language there to show that she respects her mother's wishes and that she will not do any more than her mother and father consent for her to do. So it's really important that we're introduced to Juliet in this way, because we do get a sense that though she does know her own mind, she is still extremely obedient, which of course changes throughout the course of the play. The second quotation is from Act 1, Scene 5, and at this point, her and Romeo have met each other, they have already kissed one another, and they have essentially fallen in love with each other at love at first sight. This quotation comes from the point at which she finds out that, of course, Romeo is a Montague, which is her family rival, and she says, "My only love sprung from my only hate, too early seen unknown, and known too late." Now, she uses these exclamatory sentences, and those really serve the purpose of showing how shocked and almost frightened she is of the fact that she has happened to fall in love with the one person in this world that she should never have even had the opportunity to fall in love with. The second part of the quote, where she says, "Too early seen unknown and known too late," we do get a sense of this very kind of turning and pivotal moment where she decides that she is going to be defiant. She says that it's too late now, so unfortunately there's nothing she can do about it. This, we know, is a point at which she could back out of this relationship, but she decides at this very point to go full steam ahead. And that's why this quote is so pivotal, because if Juliet had not decided at this moment in time that she was going to be defiant, then of course the rest of the play would have played out extremely differently. So we do see a different side to Juliet here compared to the first quotation that I've just shown you. For our third quotation, it's from Act 2, Scene 2, and this is the scene where Romeo and Juliet are talking and Juliet is on her balcony. A really, really important scene, because this is the scene where they really solidify their love for one another and they really start to talk about their future plans. And it's definitely the point of no return for both of the young lovers. And she says, "If thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully, or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse, and say thee nay." Now, she is driving these events forward with her commands. She tells him to pronounce it faithfully if he loves her. She is telling him exactly what he needs to do. This idea of pronouncing it faithfully can be looked at in two ways. Either it can be looked at that she wants him to pronounce his love faithfully through the idea of vows and this idea of getting married, which of course is very speedy for the fact that they've only just met, a couple of hours prior. as well as this, she wants to know for sure that he is in love with her. She's not really giving him time to think about the situation, and neither is she giving herself time to think. So it really shows her here to be the one that is progressing this relationship forward, which again would be quite unusual for a young lady to be progressing anything forward, because normally the ball's in the man's court. And that's why she goes on to say that if he thinks that she is too quickly won, that she'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. She doesn't want it to come across as if she's not chaste, because she is. She wants Romeo to respect the fact that she is a chaste girl and that she's worthy of being his wife. So really here she's trying to sell herself a little bit in the way that, women would be talked up and sold in terms of their purity and their chastity. And she really wants him to know that even though she's fallen in love with him so quickly, that this isn't what she would ordinarily do. This is a one-off scenario, and it sort of is her way of letting him know just how special he is to her. Then the fourth quotation comes from Act 3, Scene 2, which is the scene in which the nurse has come back to Juliet to deliver the news that Tybalt has died and that Romeo is the one that has killed Tybalt, unfortunately. Juliet says, "Is Romeo slaughtered and is Tybalt dead, my dearest cousin and my dearer lord?" Now, of course, they've only been married for a very short space of time, and yet we can see from the syntax, this order of the way that she um, organizes her sentence. You can see who the priority is. She says, "Is Romeo slaughtered and is Tybalt dead?" So her first thought is Romeo. And then in the second part of that quote, "my dearest cousin and my dearer lord," she uses those superlatives, dearest and dearer. Again, both both of these superlatives let us know that though Tybalt is dear to her, Romeo is dearer to her. So throughout this whole quotation, it really just shows that Romeo is and always will be her priority. And this is a moment where the audience can really see that her love for Romeo has really skewed her vision. She's not really able to think clearly and with clarity, because if she was, she would realize that the man that she's married has just killed her cousin, and that her loyalty really should be to her cousin, because of the fact that they are family, and also the fact that Romeo is a Montague. And this scenario should have really served as a warning to her, really, that perhaps Romeo isn't exactly as he seemed, and perhaps is more of an enemy to her than perhaps she has noticed or realized. And the final quote for Juliet is from Act 5, Scene 3, the final scene in the play. And this is the moment at which she has woken up to find Romeo dead, and she has made the conscious decision that she will join him by killing herself. And she says, "O happy dagger, this is thy sheath, there rust and let me die." And she uses that oxymoron, happy dagger. Ordinarily, we wouldn't associate a weapon like a dagger with happiness, but for Juliet, this is her ticket to getting back to Romeo, to getting back to her husband and meeting him in the afterlife. So it really shows how brave she is. She's really willing to take her life. And this is the second time in the play that we know that she is willing to take her life, because, of course, she threatens to take her life earlier on in the play when she goes to see Friar Lawrence, once she realizes that she cannot get out of the marriage with Paris. So it really just solidifies this idea of how brave Juliet is as a young girl in Elizabethan society. And where she says, "There rust and let me die," she talks about this idea of the dagger rusting, because she doesn't want there to be any complications in her dying from this wound. She would prefer to rust and therefore have infection and be more likely to die, so that she can get back to Romeo. And those final words, "and let me die," she's very sure of what she's saying. There's no kind of second thoughts. She is desperate to be with Romeo, and that's why she makes the decision to take her own life, which of course goes completely against her religious values of the time. And again, it shows just how much she prioritizes Romeo over everything, including her religion. So that's your 5 quotations for Juliet Capulet. Those five quotations should serve you in any exam question that you should come upon. Please make sure that you go over these quotations again, that you read them again, take notes, and just really, really try to learn them and get them in your head. As always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.